We're joined by Coach Shane Klipfel following the Broncos outing with the Zips this evening. Coach, you guys had a productive night offensively tonight, but the defense wasn't there, unfortunately. How much of that attests to missing Riley Jacobson?
Well, a fair amount, especially when you think of the way we were getting taken advantage of. I don't want to be critical of our players because we were doing everything that we could, but Riley is the kind of defender that knocks the ball away a lot on post-entry passes, and he's kind of that wily veteran that can make a post look like they're open and still get in there and knock the ball away. But so partially that, but not all of it. I mean, you have to tip your hat to Akron. I mean, they shot, I don't know what the field goal percentage was in the first half, but I glanced quickly and it had a 7 in front of it. And doing that 5-on-0, running your offense is pretty good, let alone doing it against a team that's actually trying to guard you. Although I think we could have guarded better, but it's a credit to them and less of a criticism of ours.
Coming into today, your team's averaged 65.3 points per game this season. How are you guys able to exceed that and find success on the offensive end?
Well, we did less stuff today, so maybe we'll learn something from that we weren't doing a lot of our sets, because Riley is kind of a catalyst to be able to run some of our sets where we're trying to get certain isolations. So we really went back and forth between two continuity offenses, which is pretty unusual for us. We did run a set or two. I think coming out of the gate at halftime, we ran one that Taylor scored on down there. But we weren't comfortable with the different rotations and the way we were going to be playing today to have a lot of options to try and do for our team, for the group that we had. And I think they did a good job with what they did.
Lauren Audino gave you some great minutes tonight off the bench. Is that going to be more of a potential look for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. She, there's some bright spots for us, definitely, and Audino was one of them. She gives us nice size in there. She's got great hands, like she's kind of like Spider-Man in there. You throw it anywhere in the vicinity, and she's usually going to come up with it. And she can be a presence defensively, and she's a good defensive rebounder. So yeah, we need to put her out there. I'm glad we were able to do it today and get her a little experience, and hopefully we can build those minutes as we move down the road here. But yeah, that was a great bright spot. And I thought Sid and Maddie Waters off the bench equally as bright spot too. They both gave us offense, both gave us defense, and frankly, we need that. I've called those guys the X factor, and today they were a great X factor, and we just didn't get enough supporting stuff on the defensive end to be able to close that gap.
So you guys now look ahead to Ohio this weekend. After a great offensive showing against them at home last time, what are you guys going to have to do in enemy territory to complete the regular season sweep?
Well, again, we'll have to make some decisions about how much stuff we're going to try and do with the group without having Riley potentially. So that'll be decided over the next 2 days. I'm just excited that we get to practice for 2 days leading up to a game. Like we literally, in preparation with all the games we've had to play and the travel, and we literally had an hour and 45-minute walkthrough today to prepare for Akron. So, should have been enough. I felt like we were prepared, and having just played them a week ago enabled us to be able to do that. But these kids we need to practice. We need to practice on what isn't working so well for us, and we haven't been able to do it.
Like you mentioned, you played this Akron team a week ago, and they held them to 53 points. Then they had 50 points going into the locker room at halftime. Obviously, missing Jacobson was a lot of that. What can you learn from the way your team was exposed on the inside today to fix that moving forward?
Yeah, I think it starts with our finding that button to push for defensively, because we were doing almost identically the same stuff in the second half. We just did it with more pep in our step. I don't know how to describe it, but and we made that comment. We're like, at halftime, folks, we gave up 53 in a game and they're already at 50. Like, let's go. It's the same team we played a week ago, and but we totally changed. We changed the momentum in the second half and it started with the defensive side of the ball, and it really was just getting in people's space and playing more aggressive. We hardly had any fouls in the first 20 minutes. That's a good sign of not being very aggressive on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you mentioned that aggression. You had talked about it earlier in the year of how important that had been of having that defensive aggressiveness. You were able to force 4 turnovers in the third quarter, but outside of that in the game, Akron was able to control the ball really well. What does your team need to do to to force more takeaways.
Yeah, we talked about that too. And at halftime, we only had 4 turnovers, I believe, at halftime too. And then in the first 5 minutes, we doubled that, or we equaled that output. And again, it's the difference in the intensity. It's the difference in the wanting to put pressure on the ball. It's the difference in getting in passing lanes. And we don't like ball reversals, so we're trying to keep them from reversing the ball. And that takes energy, that takes effort, and it takes discipline. And this team has it. I mean, we're the same team we were. Yes, we don't have Riley, and she's very important, but defensively, nothing has changed from a scheme. We've just been a little hesitant to put it out there.
Sydney Schaefer's have had some ups and downs this year, especially trying to work her way back to 100% after having an injury earlier in the year. Where do you think she's at? Obviously, went 2 of 3 from the 3-point line today, scored 13 points. How far along do you think she is in that recovery?
Yeah, she's had definitely some ups and downs and some struggles, and the injury set her back for a while, and COVID's in and outs, and I think she was wrestling with herself a little bit too. Just being honest, we've had lots of conversations, her and I, and she's a heck of a player, and this was the Sid we want to see, right? This is the Sid that we've seen for a year and a half here, counting last year as a half a season. So she's got it in her, and we got to find a way to consistently get it out of her. Today was a good example.
And on Akron's side, Jordan Dawson obviously leads that team seemingly every game today. 26 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. How hard is it to slow down someone who has her kind of ability?
Yeah, she's got to be the front runner for Player of the Year with everything she does. Like, she might not end up being the leading scorer or the leading rebounder, but when you look at the 4 categories of stats that are critical stats, she was halfway to a quadruple double, with the other 2 stats there. So she's a dynamic player. She's definitely hard to guard, and she had more points against us the first time there. Difference today was the support around her was really good.